with a transsexual.
Yeah.
So he killed himself because he couldn't take all the criticism he was receiving. And they're showing how, like, there's so many young kids, 12, 9, 8, and 10, committing suicide because people are maliciously bullying them online.
Yeah.
And people have to understand, like, man, like, this stuff means something. Like, you can't just give all this energy and put it out there for people and then kind of just like, well, it is what it is. Like, people have no accountability for their own stuff, for their own words.
Yeah. No. I mean, words definitely mean something. They do. And especially online, it seems like people don't realize that either. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe they realize it, but they don't care because people are, especially in a situation like this with the kid being in love with a transsexual person, the words that people were spewing at this kid, they meant something because it meant enough for him to not be able to handle it. And I guess not have an outlet or be afraid to reach out for an outlet or maybe not know how. And he killed himself. So, words mean something. But obviously, people online, they don't care because they were, purposely throwing hate and whatever they were saying at him on social media or wherever it was.
Most people think it's funny. Like, I can get these jokes off and make retarded memes and this and that. Like, people aren't thinking about the severity of the situation.
Yeah.
That's more so what I meant with the Native Americans. I probably did explain what I meant with the rest of it. But like, people don't understand the momentum that their words can bring. So it could be something that don't even bother me if I'm a Native American. But once y'all put it out there, now it may actually affect me.
Yeah.
Now they know it affected me.
Yeah. And I mean, so a couple years ago when the whole Redskins thing was like really big and really out there. I mean, because you hear about it now, but definitely not as much as 2-3 years ago.
Honestly, that was really gonna be my next question. It's like, man, whatever happened to that?
Yeah, I mean, and see that's the thing.
They had to the point where they was like, we're gonna force it to change it, and I ain't hearing nothing since.
No, I mean, Dan Snyder wasn't gonna change. He wasn't changing the name of that.
No, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? They was like, they're gonna force it to change it. It's gonna happen in the next couple of years. And honestly, like, out of nowhere, you look up and like, man, what happened to all that heat that they was facing? Like, nobody even care no more. It don't seem like.
Yeah, I mean, I would even tell people then. I'm like, I always just took the stance of if people that are Native American, if they're actually offended by this, then okay. Then protest. Maybe you want to look into change the name. But I was like, you cannot make Daniel Snyder change the name of his team. You can't make, there's really nothing you can do to make him do it. It's not much you can do. It's not much you can do.
They took away his trademarks too, to try to, I guess, make that process easier. Because once you lose trademarks, all of a sudden people can replicate your stuff for free. And that makes you lose money. And then I guess the theory behind it was when you lose enough money for people buying knockoff stuff, then maybe you just change it. But I mean, that's the worst I heard. They took away his trademarks. A couple colleges changed their names from like Indians and Braves.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
To other things, but that whole movement just died off a cliff. I don't know what happened to it.
But see, then, okay, when you start doing stuff like that, okay, now you're going to get into the litigation part. And who's backing this as far as on the side of, making or wanting to force Daniel Snyder to change the name? Who's backing this financially? Because then you get into a point where, okay, you got Daniel Snyder who has close to probably unlimited resources, a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a high price team of lawyers. You ain't who's backing this financially? That's my question. Because this could be in court for years if you're gonna take it that far. It could be in court for years, and whoever's backing that financially, they probably don't have the funds to do that. Let's just be honest. They probably don't have those kind of funds to do that.
I mean, if you have a lawyer who is already semi well off, like, he don't gotta be a millionaire, but he can just be well off enough, or has a wife that can support him, or a husband that can support her. As long as they're willing to take that fight, I mean, the cost of lawyer fees is what was going to drain you out. But if they're the lawyers and they have the calls themselves and they're not charging, I guess you could. But
yeah, but I mean,
it's going to be an uphill battle.
That's just that for me. That's just really far fetched to think that. I mean, I know a lot of lawyers. They will do, especially cases like this, if they can see a big payday at the end, they'll do it.
Well, I just meant that.
They'll do it on retainer. But I mean, for something that's going to go years and years and years, that's a little far-fetched. Yeah. That could go.
I just meant for somebody, like for a person who actually was like 100% invested in it and didn't care about making money. Like, because sometimes you might get a person, like, just say the volunteers who do certain things. A lot of them, they know they're not making no money. They're not worried about that. They just want to see change. So if you get somebody who's that mindset, who happens to be a lawyer, then you got a shot because, yeah, you don't have to worry about the resources because that person's there and, like, it's kind of like having a car mechanic. Like, the cost of fixing it isn't that expensive, but their time is what really drives up the price. So for the lawyers, like most of the things is gonna be their time. So if he or she is fine with just taking an L on that, it can support themselves financially. Without it, it can happen. But most people aren't that invested.
Yeah, but
into anything.
I just tell you like this: any practicing lawyer that's still actually practicing, no matter how well they're doing, something like that's going to take time and resources away from their actual practice, they're not going to be invested for that long. Trust me.
I mean, I was saying, like, you know, the people who were sleeping in the trees in Berkeley, it's like, we ain't eating until this happened. They didn't eat for like 40 days.
Yeah.
Like, somebody has that commitment, maybe. I just said maybe. I ain't even say they couldn't 100% have it. I said maybe.
Yeah, that was 40 days. That was 40 days. I'm just saying. I used to work with lawyers, and I don't know many lawyers that's just going to stick in there because some of these type of cases, they stay in litigation for years and years and years.
Oh yeah,
and that's people just being, but those people are being paid for that. Like, so just to do something where you might have a payday towards the end, a big payday, like that's just unrealistic to me. That's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, if you find someone that's that dedicated, but at the same time, eventually, we all got a life to live, and if it's just really, if the support's really just not there, and there's no end in sight, I just don't see how long that's gonna last, and you're not getting paid for it. That's the
but I mean,
it's a capitalist country.
What I'm saying, moving back to Kevin, is like because even when they first reported it, just to kind of bring it back,
yeah.
They lumped in all this stuff about the homophobic tweets and everything to go with his crash. Like, what the hell did I got to do with anything?
They wanted to throw it all in one story. They just, wanted to update us like we doing here.
But, I mean, that's just, it's ridiculous to me. They'd be like saying Partee's in an accident, but in 1983, the year he was born, and the nigga, his first word was boo-boo. Nigga, who gives a fuck? This nigga is damn near dying.
Oh man, hey, I wouldn't even mind that. I'd be like, oh well, was it? I don't even know if I know what my first word was. Honestly, I don't even know. So it might have been boo boo. Shit, I don't know.
Probably hate.
It's a hateful motherfucker. All right, so Kevin Hart, get better. Come back was funny. Real quick, I wanted to kind of get into. We won't stay on this long. Now you're a Kevin Hart fan, right? Like you're a fan of his comedy, right?
Yeah, I like his comedy.
Okay, so because you've been to see him live, haven't you? Or
nah.
Okay.
Nah, I ain't that big. I ain't that type of thing.
Okay, somebody back in the Bay that I know that I thought it was you in town I went to see him, but somebody I know went to see him when he was in Oakland, some years back when I was still living
we
back
broke
there.
out here, Pippin.
Huh?
So we broke out here, Pippin.
I know his tickets is kind of, they kind of up there.
We got like Gary Owen money. We got
hey, Gary Owen be doing his thing though. I ain't mad at.
Hey, he funny as hell.
Yeah.
What's the dude name with the light eyes? They be having two girlfriends all the time.
Oh yeah.
I think D-Ray's who you thinking about.
We got that type of nigga money. Like, we ain't got Kevin Hart money. We ain't got Catwoman money. We ain't got Dave Chappelle money. We ain't got Chris Rock money. We ain't got that.
You know what? I don't know if I told you this, but like earlier this year, I actually got to see Cat Williams for free.
No, okay. That's
perform because he was. So you remember when he was out in Portland and getting in all that trouble, and he was out here for like a whole month.
Yeah, when y'all kidnapped the nigga for a month.
Yeah, this was like late last year. So he was out here, and there's this little bar club. You know, they do live music performances. They had like free passes or whatever to go there with a bunch of people. And he was there. He was just out there because he had like he was on tour at the time, so he had a bunch of other comedians too, like up and coming people. But he actually came out at the end and did probably. It wasn't so much a set as he was just kind of on stage making observations, but it was pretty funny though. So he came out for about maybe 20, not quite 30 minutes, but it was cool though. Because I've never been like a big fan of Cat, but I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. He's not one of the people that...
He's a funny little motherfucker.
I think his fan is a little strong word. I'm not really a fan of too many things. That's people. But, I mean, I enjoy both him and Kevin Hart's comedy content.
Okay. So with that said, Kevin Hart. Now, what do you think of him as far as compared to even some of the people from this era or even some of the all-time greats, you know, compared to like a Chris Rock or a Martin Lawrence or Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, or even going back to, you know, a Richard Pryor? Like, where would you rank? Like, how good do you think Kevin Hart is? Like, when it's all said and done for him, or are people going to look at him as one of the all-time greats, maybe top 5 comedians? Do you think that, or do you think he's just like a really funny guy? He had his run, and you know that's about it.
Are you going? It depends on what you judge it on, I guess. Because if you judge it on like,
well, I'm talking about his comedy. I ain't talking about movies. I just mean like his stand-up.
No, I know. This is comedy. Are you talking about? Because like even within comedians, like you remember a bit from certain people way more than other people. Like just because one bit was just like, damn, like that got me. Like for life. I remember that. It's like a hit song. Like you just might remember a line from a song. Yeah. So that's dope. So are you talking about like memorable phrases or memorable content, or are you talking about even for comedy, like gross selling? I mean, because there's so many things there. I mean, because like okay,
I'm talking more
kind of live. I mean, I'm going through it. I was kind of live for Pryor, but I really didn't get into Richard Pryor stuff because I just wasn't old enough to understand this shit at the time. Well, yeah. Even listen to it now, it's kind of like it's cool, but it ain't. I guess it ain't during my time, my era. So even some of the jokes may just not be for me. Like, I get it. I get some of the jokes, but I mean, some of it's like it wouldn't be as funny if I was growing in that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like somebody make a joke about Trump, and 30 years from now, you grow up and you don't know who the hell Trump was. The joke it loses luster. It's not as funny. So some of this stuff, it may have been funnier if I was older going through it at the time. But, I mean, everybody considers him GOAT, so I'll give him his due respect and put him up there. Now, if off of other comedians, I mean, for my hair, it's like Pryor's up there.
Yeah.
Eddie.
Yeah. I should have mentioned Eddie Murphy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you got to have them. You got to have Rock. And then after that, it gets a little
you said
fuzzy because you can have, I said Rock, Chris Rock.
Okay.
And then even Chappelle is different than all of them. So a lot of people, a lot of comedians what their take on stuff is, and I would say, they say Chappelle is the GOAT just because he's so unique with his comedy.
What do you mean?
However, I mean, because like, say Rock, right? Chris Rock is more so straightforward in your face with his comedy, whereas Chappelle is a bit cartoonish and animated with his comedy.
Yeah, he can be.
Raps it. But he raps it in the truth. So instead of him talking about how messed up the streets are, he'll do a bit about a baby with the baby outside at 3 a.m. selling weed. So there's truth to the joke, but it's kind of ridiculous that this motherfucker got the baby out here.
No, I see what you mean with that.
On pure ability, I like Chappelle only for. I don't know if you heard that joke. He said he did a joke backwards. He goes, I'm so good at comedy now that now I make punchlines, and then from there I figure out the joke. And then he did that. I'm gonna kick her in the pussy. You hear that one? So he just goes, I wrote down a couple topics and then he throw it in the ball and then he goes, I pull one out and the punchline is, I'm going to kick her in the pussy.
Damn.
And then he goes through just a weird ass story. And they talk about how when he was younger, he stayed at his friend, or he stayed at his friend's house, and eventually they had like stovetop, or what's that, stuffers? What is
stovetop stuffing
with red box. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, I never had that shit. Ooh, so I definitely want to try it. And so this and that. So then he got all excited about it. And then dude's mom comes and goes, hey, we didn't know you was coming, so we don't have enough. Then he goes, then I kicked her in the pussy. So it tied in so well, but he was like, basically, he's like, I'm this good. I make joke backwards. So on a ability like that, I was like, that nigga might be the GOAT for me. Just for me. Because that shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was such a random ass.
That is funny.
Topic.
I give it to him. That is pretty
you got to listen to the action joke. That shit would have me dying.
That is pretty hilarious.
I mean, I'll probably put. I mean, I think he's top 10, but I mean, I couldn't say who's better between him and Bernie. I mean, I like Bernie, but I got him and Bernie Mac. But I like Bernie, but he had more content than Bernie to me, and this shit sold bigger, like more like his comedy tour. They sold out, and he's probably the first worldwide seller.
Who? Are you talking about Chappelle still or Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart.
Okay.
So I'll probably put him after Chappelle, Rock for sure, Pryor, and Eddie. Did I miss somebody? But after that, it's like a toss-up between Martin Lawrence, him. And, I mean, because like at the time, they were the people, they were that dude, but I wasn't around at that time. So in the 80s or 90s, I don't know their humor. Like, I don't understand all their content. I know some of it, so some of it's still hella funny to me.
Yeah.
But you don't get all the content that happened at that time.
Yeah. See, for me,
I mean, I put them probably like top 10 at least at the worst.
Okay. No, I mean, that's this is all subjective. It's all opinion. Like for me personally,
like 6 or 7.
Was that?
They're probably like 6 or 7 though.
Okay.
So
for me personally, I'm more over most of those guys you just named, and I'm talking about just ability and content and delivery. Bernie Mac for me, hands down, over most of those guys that you just named. I'm a Bernie Mac fan. I've always been a Bernie Mac fan. I mean, from Def Comedy Jam days all the way through the 90s up through and even past, the Kings of Comedy, which came out in 2000, basically up until he got sick and, he eventually passed away. I'm a Bernie Mac guy. That's just me. I don't know if I'll say he's the greatest of all time, but as far as for me, he's probably my favorite comedian, Bernie Mac. He's probably my favorite. Now, if you ask most of the comedians, now, others that don't get mentioned a lot, and, we have a way of, especially when it comes to, I guess, like entertainment, we have a way of, especially with comedy and I guess with movies, we have a way of always wanting to, and maybe even, it might not even be on purpose, but we always have a way of, I guess, separating black and white comedians and, Latino comedians and whoever else. I think George Lopez is funny as hell. Another one, if you go way back to the 70s and 80s, George Carlin. Have you ever heard George Carlin? Have you ever sit down and listen to George Carlin?
Yeah, I listen to him.
For me, he's funny in a motherfucker. I mean, he is funny. I think he ranks right up there with anybody, honestly. I really do. But if you go and ask, if you ever listen to almost any black or white even comedian from the that has really made it, and that can go for whether they're Asian or Latino, whatever they are, if they're from like the 90s on up till now, a lot of them will rank Richard Pryor as their greatest of all time. A lot of them, kind of like you alluded to earlier.
Well, a lot of people, it's kind of like, let's say anything. If I don't know, and the people who I think are funny say that this guy is their inspiration, I'm gonna roll with it. I don't know. Like my son don't know nothing about. He barely know anything about basketball, but Jordan's a GOAT because somebody told him that.
Yeah, but
he has no. Okay, he has nothing to know it by. Like for him to know, other than somebody told him, and he see other basketball players saying it. So if he watched LeBron, Steph, Kobe, whatever, they say Jordan the GOAT. So he's the GOAT, kind of like Richard Pryor. I didn't really watch Richard like that, or even Red Fox in him. But
see, Red Fox is another one that I think is underrated. Red Fox was underrated in my opinion.
He's definitely underrated. But I'm saying a lot of them said they get the inspiration from Red Fox, Richard Pryor and other comedians like that. So I just deferred to him because I don't know. I didn't catch enough of their content. Like I heard like maybe one or two specials, kind of like if you put all their jokes together, it's like worth one or two specials of theirs combined. So it wasn't a whole lot. Whereas Kevin, I've heard at least like 5 or 6 specials plus other separate material.
Yeah.
Same thing with say Eddie Murphy. I might have heard 3 or 4 specials with just other stuff, and then even though the movies don't count, it kind of blends in a little bit. Like the nigga funny.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, and I mean the one thing that doesn't need to be said: all these people are funny. All of them are considered, have been or are at the top of their profession, or have been at the top at some point. So all of them are funny. Oh yes, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, or even a thumbs down if you didn't. And also let us know in the comments as well. And don't forget to share us with a friend, family member, or hey, even a stranger on the street will do. I'll catch you in the next video.